stuck in the same old feeling, feel so detached. My vocal cords are bleeding, overreact. Oh, I don't know what to say, I don't know where to start. Words feel like we're strangers, drifting only apart. I'm overheating.
Mission fucking accomplished. Goon Swarm is not a threat.
Good luck with your old dumb nullsec war snuffed out #1. Anunnaki Keep Star is next, and then come on.
There, and then you were just going to fucking magically jump into EVE Online in a system, and it was just going to load, and nobody was going to call you fucking stupid later?
There's an Eagle fleet that has dive bombed a Megathron fleet. This is the bravest shit I have ever seen in my life.
The best possible shot to do something to the Imperium, and you fucked it up.
I talked a lot of shit over the last couple months. It's time to fucking eat some. And I showed up here to eat shit. Like,
The reason that this keeps started and get contested, and I cannot make this up, is because of tie-dye.
Guess where goons are going to live after this war is over?
Current plan is 319, I believe, right?
So,
Hi, sick.
I can
people
tell you very
overreacting.
clearly, our Diplos didn't even fucking care. Like,
White daddy.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Untethered. Our topic today, Daddy Pandemic Legion has gone out for cigarettes, leaving the poor children of Horde and Northern Coalition, etc. behind. We're joined today for a rare public interview by Hedliner. Hello Hedliner.
Hello.
And as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Phantomite.
Hello.
And Luke Aninen.
Hello.
And the man behind the curtain pulling the levers today is Redline.
Yeah, because he's behind the curtain in the way that he's got lots of sort of green steam coming out and a big sort of fake head on top as well. But really,
Fan.
yeah, and but really, you know, when you meet him, he's sort of decrepit and sort of barely able to move and not imposing in any way whatsoever.
Okay, so Pandemic Legion is leaving PanFam. There's been a lot of rumor and surprise immediately. The propaganda wheels started turning on Reddit. Hedliner, could you tell us what actually has happened?
Yeah, it's not as sensational as it's been made out to be by the experts on Reddit. We've just decided that we're going to go somewhere else and do things at our own pace. That's about it, really. There's no great scoop. It's not a particularly controversial move. Everything's pretty amicable. We gave the relevant guys notice that we were going to depart, and that's what we've done.
What's nice to see is some movement of any kind whatsoever. Something I've noticed over many years of playing this game is that getting up, picking up your stuff, and going to do something else, moving, geographically, even if it's not very far, doesn't really enter a lot of people's minds in this game. But for people who do move, it really they frequently find it's invigorating. So it's nice to see, a relatively large group able to do that. It's good for you, which is good for the rest of the game. Are there any sort of difficulties involved with a move like this that are something of a risk to your members, to their sort of sense of effort or anything like that?
It's pretty tedious packing your stuff up from a region that you've lived in for 6.5 years and having to talk people out of, you don't need all of this crap, just like ship it or trash it or asset safety it and take the stuff that we need. That in itself, you just accumulate a lot of stuff. So that's been pretty tedious. That's pretty much done now though, so that's good. Everyone's done a decent job of clearing out their closets and getting on the move ops. So I would say that's sort of materially complete now, and hasn't been that painful. But we haven't gone very far either. So we've done worse moves in the past. As for risk, I think it's been all right. To be honest, it's been relatively disaster free. No one's jumped the wrong way or to a beacon or anything like that yet.
I mean, that was going to be another sort of kind of follow up on a much tinier scale. Myself and Puce here, with the rest of the alliance that we are leadership part of, we have moved several times, often multiple mids, and it is a real chore. It's a real slog, and we find that, quite understandably, you will lose a couple of people with each move who would rather stick around and stick with the group there. Do you reckon you're going to see any opportunities for people wanting to join or rejoin Pandemic Legion now that things have been, refreshed?
Yeah, I mean, some people have expressed an interest in starting to play again. I was talking to some guys recently about this, and it's kind of like that. Our player base hasn't changed a huge amount in recent years. We don't really have an outflow or much of an inflow of people. It's kind of like the same guys who have been around for a long time, and they dip in and out of activity. But I think changing our scenery and maybe the pace at which we run ops and maybe doing things slightly differently in terms of focusing on PL and alliance business rather than PanFan business will probably mean that you have some people come back from long periods of AFK as well. Likewise, there's been a couple of people who have chosen to remain where they are, which is fine. There are reasons for that. I think that what would attract new people is when we get up and running where we're going and seeing results come on the board, like battle reports, kill boards, and so on. That'll ultimately be the proof of whether we've made the right decision and whether we're enjoying ourselves or not, and that'll be the acid test. I think we're confident that we'll get out and about and run some fleets. So I would say watch this space.
So we haven't actually said yet, but PL is joining Winterco, I believe, is the fresh news.
Yeah, we're just hopping the fence, and
I think it's only about half the game that knows that at the moment. There's still half of the game that doesn't know that. Last few hours.
And this move isn't particularly like scientific at all. It's like we've got a long history of working with fraternity. Norris and I are good friends. Remlin and some others who are in fraternity were in my corp at one point in time. We've worked closely with them in lots of different ways in the recent past. Carmen and Nora as well. They're good guys. We've enjoyed working with them in the past, and it seemed like a good place for us to come across and sort of just like slide in, hopefully without too much noise, low impact move, and get stuck in, see how we can help, get involved. I'm not looking to be a big wig or anywhere near the top of this particular tree. I'd like a change of scene where I can just spend my time and energy focusing on PL first and foremost, and being a good team player to the best of our ability.
So what region have you moved to?
what region have we moved? Well,
Yeah.
we're sitting in Lozek at the moment, but we'll be over it. We'll be over in Vale in a couple of days' time.
Okay. Go on, Fan.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, I'm gonna ask you to predict completely accurately the entire future for the next couple of years, and to be completely accurate and to not make any mistakes and to be, absolutely spot on with exactly how things are going to work right now, right? What kind of things are you looking forward to doing here that you feel are going to work better here than the way that they would have worked better with the previous system?
I can't predict the future, but I think
why have we got you on then?
I don't know. I agreed to this without really thinking about what I was agreeing to. So I think, like, for me, the main thing is we're just setting the pace at which we do things is important.
Yeah.
Right now, like, when I was doing coalition leadership stuff, it was a bit of a balancing act between doing stuff for PL and doing stuff for the coalition, and over time sometimes that worked really well and things were all aligned, and other times it was more of a challenge. So I think the main thing for me is I want to ensure that I'm putting all my time and energy into my alliance for a while. And getting that working in the way that I want, running the fleets that I want us to run, picking fights that are interesting to us, trying things that we haven't done for a long time. We've been completely nullsec bound for probably, I guess, a decade now. So there's other aspects of playing the game in terms of PvP that I'd be interested to try out.
Pandemic Legion joins faction warfare.
I didn't say that. I don't know, but that is a good example.
Going to break up the wormhole CFC.
It's a good example of something I don't know anything about. So if we want to spend a month or two working out how that works, then yeah, we'll give that a go.
I think good thing to do, obviously, is for the inevitable Pandemic Legion faction warfare SIG, is to ask people who do faction warfare how to do it, but then very importantly come to me and Puce to ask how it really works and what the dynamic really is and what's just a load of nonsense.
Look, the enemy guy is always the farmer and we're the PvPers. Unless you're on the other team, then it's the other way around.
Oh yeah. If you're in the Caldari, the Galente it's just all farmers, mate. It's all farmers.
The other guy is bad.
Yeah, the other guy, they're completely bad. We've got no farmers on our side whatsoever, and yeah, terrible. The other team, whichever the other team is, they're definitely evil. The way that you talk about, being able to put a lot more focus onto your own alliance, it kind of makes it sound like in a way that with the position that you're taking up in Winter Coalition, is that your entire alliance, in a way, gets to behave like a SIG, if that makes sense.
Well, it's SIG-sized, so
yeah,
I guess that does make sense in a certain respect.
Luke, I saw you sort of smirking at that. Are you going to? Are you just sort of listening to this kind of freewheeling, dangerous independence chat and just sort of thinking to yourself, we're going to have to whip these guys into submission so that they
not at all, right? Like we've had this conversation on the show many times, right? And it kind of echoes through, which is Eva's still a game. You need to go have fun. Let's try and avoid ridiculous levels of management because that's people's real lives. So no, not at all.
All I'm hearing here is that I'm going to be completely unmanaged, which is great.
Oh, do you know what?
Everybody else does what they want to do, so I don't know.
Headline, you can't say something like that because I'm not allowed to then sort of. It's not appropriate for me to then ask you. Oh, so you were being managed? You felt you were being managed previously, and then it just leads to like a sort of it's an answerable question.
I didn't say that either. So.
So what are there any like particularly fresh doctrines that that you might try want to start using now that you're changing groups?
I don't think that there's necessarily a nexus between like moving from one place to the other and running new doctrines. We're going to mess around with some ideas though. We might bring back some old ones. We used to have a proud reputation of using jackdaws. I think we'll probably use those again in the near future.
With rockets at 10, right?
No, that's too extreme for me. But no, we'll throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I was moaning about this the other day that I think the whole balancing of stuff generally is a little bit unsatisfactory at the moment. I think the way that CCP goes about balancing ships is kind of broken. They just make something really good and then everyone flies it and then everyone's fighting each other in that, and at least that's the way it works in nullsec. So not necessarily being subscribed to that for a while will be refreshing as well, I think.
It feels like sort of there's a bit of kind of tell us. I mean, what's been too stale for too long? I mean, I'm sure all of us in this channel have our own ideas. It's been stale for too long, depending on where we live. But is there anything that you're tired of in particular?
Vulture versus vulture fleets are a little bit. What you
mean,
stale.
Ferox Pros?
Yeah. There are so many different ships, but inevitably only a handful of them get used because it's hard to win in anything else, and I think that's particularly a chronic issue in nullsec. I can't really speak for other areas, but that's kind of moving away from that.
It's a pervasive issue across the whole game. I mean, we've had the exec Navy in low-sec being the dominant Navy cruiser and seen in every system all the time. People just get tired of it. We've got the Vulture and the Roke in nullsec. I think I speak for several of us here when we say that we want frequent balance changes that get followed up on rather than just like a big change and then abandon it, and then that's the meta for 5 years or something. I think CCP can do a lot better in that regard.
Yeah, I think things tend to get like locked in for long periods of time, and that's that becomes a little bit sort of tiresome. So yeah, I mean, like scaling, doing smaller and mid-scale stuff where that's not so much of an issue, I think is something that interests me. So
I suppose that there's one commonality among rocks and feroxes and vultures, and that is optimal bonuses. If you're not flying that, then they are in range of you and you can't hit them. So everybody's kind of forced into it. It's like one part of it is a range war. Do you think that this is a very hyper-specific question, and I think we've discussed it on the show before? Do you think that optimal bonuses shouldn't be a thing anywhere in this game?
No, I don't think so. I think optimal is interesting, but there should probably be a bit of a trade-off, right? You shouldn't be. You
should have a resist bonus and an optimal bonus.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just it probably needs to be considered just as a in the round. It should be considered just in the interest of and then the spirit of balancing stuff. I think that's probably smart.
I remember. I mean, the counterpart to the Rock, for example, is the Baden. That's got a resist bonus. Doesn't have an optimal bonus though.
Yeah, that just sucks in general, though, doesn't it? Anyone who flies those.
It's the best ship in the game.
Okay, all right. We got very different polarized opinions on this one here. I suppose the Baden. I can completely understand the idea that the Baden sucks in large scale engagements. obviously because it doesn't have the range that a competing ship would have, and it also doesn't suit long drawn out fights because of its capacitor. But this is something interesting where the meta and the value of a ship hugely changes as the size of the group changes as well. Like for example, at our size, me and Puce, we're there with our guys. We might be 10 ships in a fleet, and the Baden is fantastic, absolutely fantastic in that one there. But obviously, if you're there with 20, 50, 200 people, something like that, in a fleet situation like that, it sucks. It's basically useless. At the same time, there's not really any situation in which we'd use a rock, because it wouldn't really fit into anything that we do at our size. We don't need the range. It doesn't do particularly hugely great close up, but the Baden does. It's interesting that different sizes of fight in this game have different overpowered ships. Puce mentioned the ENI, but I doubt that the Executor Navy issue would do very, very well for you guys at all at the sizes that you're looking to engage with.
We've used the Omen Navy over the Exec for a lot of stuff. I prefer that personally. But I guess it depends. Like I'm a big fan of that kind of like sort of small borderline mid-scale kind of like nano-y stuff. We did a lot of that over the last couple of years, which was very enjoyable. So looking for a way to get back to that as well. Whether or not we'd still use the same ships, I don't know. But there's time and space to figure that out, which is a plus.
So it sounds to me like you yearn for low sec, and yet you're moving to another null block. Did you consider having a sojourn in low sec on the way?
I could still go to low sec, right? Just dump all my bags in null sec, and I could have
very close to low sec, right? Like
have a wander into low sec. Like I haven't been to low sec properly for a long time. Like I think the last time that we staged in low sec was like 2015, so it's probably completely different now. But take an explorer, an expedition into low sec and see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
What I will say, Luke, because when you just mentioned that that you've got good access to low sec. What I might say without obviously going into it is that pretty much all of Sovnel has pretty instant access to low sec.
Is that fant?
I couldn't say it. I'm not entirely sure why all of Nelsec. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the reason why Nelsec has such easy, quick access to low sec.
I'm not going to say the word.
No, not going to say the word. But yeah,
to be fair, without jump bridges, there is still quick access from Vale to low sec.
From Vale?
Now we're talking about Vale, right? We were specifically using Vale as the example before you decided to go on a jump bridge rant about projection again.
What's wrong with jump gates?
That's a discussion for a different show. That's a discussion for a different show. PL obviously has a very long and storied and significant history with both null and low sec. You have been not just with PL, but at the top of PL during several different eras of Pandemic Legion. Can you do you look back at any previous times and think that not that the game was better, but the aspects of the game were better now? Obviously, aspects are better now than they were then. And are there any key differences that you think you'd like to come back now in the meta?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. The obvious thing is to say, like, let's just like shift back to 2012, 2011, 2012, take jump fatigue away and have a good time. But I don't think you can put that toothpaste back in the tube now, can you really? So
no.
Like, I mean, that's why I'm not particularly I don't get particularly excited about Supers and Titans anymore, because we had the best of them years ago, and it's kind of over in that respect in terms of using them for like in the way that we used to. But I as times have moved on, I found an unknown or previously unidentified enjoyment for the smaller and mid-scale stuff, which has been good. We focused a lot on that over the last couple of years, and learnt lots, and found people have really taken to that. So I think in terms of what could make things better and what could change, like larger scale like doctrine balancing would probably be cool. But for the mid scale stuff, I think it's okay. Like there are a couple of things that are probably a little bit broken, but for a group our size, I think if we want to do something, we're not particularly limited by game mechanics. It's more just like numbers becomes a numbers game at some point, when you're out doing stuff.
Do you think that when it comes to fighting, similar sized groups in nullsec, and I mean that as Pandemic Legion size, fighting Pandemic Legion sized enemies, and as the larger coalition sized enemies, do you think that there is enough combat? Do you think there's could be more? Do you think it's meaningful enough? Do you think that enough changes in nullsec?
I think it's like it doesn't really matter if it's like a group PL size versus another group. Inevitably it won't stay that way for very long at all, will it? Because everyone's the way that the nullsec power is divided up. Everyone slots into block A, B, or C, and it's kind of like those things never stay contained at a smaller scale for long, do they? And that in itself is a bit of a challenge, right? That you have to solve for, and I guess it depends on the dynamics of where you are about how you can go about solving for it.
Would you like to see that change? Would you like smaller groups in nullsec?
I think that would be good. I mean, there have been attempts to foster that over the years, right? There was that, and everyone sort of agreed to leave the southeast alone at various points over the last couple of years, and it worked for a while, and then it didn't, and everyone just folded one way or another into whichever group they were sort of either most scared of or thought was going to give them the appropriate backing in the long run. I'm not sure, like off the top of my head, how you would re-engineer nullsec to allow for that. For smaller groups, to without some kind of like player understanding. But I mean, it would be good if something.
But if it was capable of happening naturally rather than artificially. So. Well, what do you think? What aspects do you think might prevent that right now?
Well, right now there's no incentive. There's not a great deal of incentive to sort of like shed the. If you want to stay in nullsec and you're be a solely nullsec group and live somewhere like far away from lowsec, it's pretty. There's no incentive to do it without having the appropriate relationships in place with the people around you, right? So
I suppose what I'm asking there is, I completely agree that it's. You got to have the relationships, but why do you think you have to have the relationships?
Well, in some cases, you couldn't get to your space without them, could you?
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be one, depending on your geography.
Yeah.
That and it's
that sounds like a stealth call for more NPC nullsec.
More NPC nullsec. There's loads of that already, though.
Well, except in the areas that you currently couldn't get to unless you had an agreement.
True. But that's why small groups.
But on the other hand, I think that's good. I think that's good that they're. I think it would be disappointing if virtually all of nullsec was reachable from null NPC. I'm a big fan of asymmetry and of actual interesting geography. the layout of the universe calling for different sets of strategies and tactics depending on where you are. I think that's something that EVE Online has managed to get right for a long time.
Yeah, I
think
don't.
there
I
has
don't
to be
think every.
geography.
I don't think every region should be the same, and certainly I don't think every region should have a nullsec and every nullsec region should have an NPC constellation in it. I think that would be a bit silly.
A bit boring and samey.
Yeah,
again, it would just create a solved meta again.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. There's one clear answer to that question, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Everything. It's seemingly everything, and you're going to have to fill me in because I haven't been to nullsec for in any meaningful capacity for multiple years. Is everything that you would engage with in nullsec, as part of Horde, but now as part of Winterco, is everything range based over there, or do you have any opportunities for things that are within touching distance when you're fighting?
As in, are we going to have to travel to go and get fights and stuff?
I mean, there's down to the weapon systems. Because I'm a big fan of blasters. I'm a big fan of blasters as the example for where I'm going with this.
I think, we'll need to learn how home defense works, right, won't we? But I guess there might be some opportunities to throw some short range stuff in there. But offensively, I don't think the doctrines that we run will change materially.
Something I'd love to see come back, and I was hoping that we would start to see it as after the undoing of the surgical strike of the resist nerf. Something I was hoping to see was something invented very famously by PL, which would have been afterburner hacks, which realistically largely means legions back in the day. You were definitely would I be right in saying that you were part of Pandemic Legion during one of the AB hack eras?
Yeah, I was there. I don't know if someone in PL invented those or not, or if they came from another group, though. I don't want to lay claim to anything in case there's a know-it-all lurking in the chat who's going to be like, "Gotcha, no, you're wrong." But
look. Rive says that you did.
Yeah, but he says all kinds of stuff. He's one of those people who's pathologically lies for attention in any fucking forum that he can find. So I wouldn't put too much stock in what he says. No, but yes, I was. I think the issue with them is that there's a whole new set of challenges for stuff like that. I speak only in the nullsec kind of arena, but web bubbles, new bursts on structures and from supers, anything that can fit in, from a vulture or a ferox that can fit a medium mutant. They're just those things can be absolutely catastrophic for AHACs unless you have a huge number of them.
Perhaps some of the people in chat can correct me on this, but I certainly seem to remember that the big deal about that made AB hacks so potent back then was that the meta for everybody else in nullsec who wasn't flying them was just a big bunch of battleships. So the AB hacks didn't get tracked. They were basically, in practice, just as fast as the battleships, and they were, they could hit with a lot of precision while they kind of swarmed around without dying. Whereas
that's right.
You talk about the vulture being a thing now, which is obviously going to be significantly faster than a battleship of old.
The thing as well is when those first came about, lots of people just didn't have tight doctrines either. You'd have big alliances like Razor or they were big back in the day, or the old Northern Coalition that was a group of alliances that lived in the north. They would
It was just sort of
They would
kitchen
run
sink, wasn't it?
It would run fleets, but the parameters were like, you have to bring a battleship and it has to have this much range, and that was it, right? It could be shield, it could be armor, it could, there was seldom much in the way of logi or e-war, and you could outclass that by having something which resembled a doctrine, which was uniform and had, some kind of layered support built into it. Whereas, the people that you were fighting, I think the AX looked a lot better than they probably were, because they went up against things which were kind of
garbage.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, garbage.
Whereas everything is tight doctrines now, often with just a single ship in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different now, right? There's a lot more standardization and.
Yeah, well, because just everybody being in the same ship in the same fit means that for the FC, it's sort of 10 times easier to actively FC it as well.
That's true.
Something that we enjoy doing in LowSec is having a much greater range of ships to be able to fly, because of, I don't know, is that because of the lack of bubbles, Puce, or is it because of the smaller numbers?
I'd say smaller numbers.
Yeah, it allows for a lot more variety. In faction warfare space, something interesting that we have is the majority of the faction warfare complexes, which is where most of the fights get sparked, obviously have size limitations. Like a medium-sized faction warfare complex will only allow cruisers and below in on size, and we also have limits on the ship types as well. There are navy plexes and there are advanced plexes. So, like, for example, a medium navy plex will only allow Tech 1 and 4 main Empire navy ships into them. You can't put pirate ships or Tech 2 in. Obviously, nobody in nullsec is looking to have dead space complexes as a primary conflict site, because there's no sinoing, the escalation is a lot harder, things like that. Do you think that, or something it certainly does, these limits have created a brand new meta, basically exclusively to LowSec? Do you think that there are any opportunities in nullsec for limitations to create new metas in the same way? I know that's a lot in one go, right?
I guess that's what they were trying to do when they brought in the current sov system, right? Like, to split it up onto different grids, and I'm not sure that's really worked out the way anyone thought it would. But
well, ESS is very similar. That's got limitations in that, of course, there's no micro warp drives on the inside.
Yeah, that's not. I mean,
that's not really fleet content, though.
No, I mean, like.
Well, you say that, but an awful lot of the sort of roaming small gang fights happen on an ESS grid because the dead space. It's not like block level fleet content. It's normally like standing fleet versus like.
Well, I suppose that's
it has created a new.
Really. I suppose that's kind of what I'm asking though, Puce, is, obviously the ESS shows nullsec what limitations can do for having to figure fresh things out. I'm trying to think, is there a way that such a similar mechanic would work in nullsec on a fleet level rather than on a gang level, because it's some people hate it, a lot of people love it in LowSec, but it has undeniably created brand new metas through limitations. And I'm trying to think, is there anything that could be done in nullsec to encourage brand new metas because of limitations?
The deal answer blexes, so you have to take a faster fleet.
I mean, that's one of an example of a terrible idea that comes to mind is putting certain structures that you might fight over behind an acceleration gate in dead space to have a gate limit the ship sizes or ship types, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it is possible to have a Dead Space grid without a gate as well. Those exist in faction warfare, but they do prohibit sinos at the moment, which is a big part of
and
conflict.
warping on grid, which is the biggest deal.
Yeah. I still kind of feel like that would just devolve to longest range, shoot at each other with rogues or vultures or something.
Nullsec, it's just occurred to me, of course, that Nullsec does have a very underdeveloped limitation system, and that is the metaliminal storms that pass through. They do things to, correct me if I'm wrong, they do things to the resists and sensors of the ships, depending on which type of storm it is. So I wonder if, revisiting metaliminal storms could sort of guide fresh thinking and fresh doctrines if they had stronger effects. If they had effects like cutting your lock range, capping your lock range to stop, longest range mattering as much, things like that.
I think they tried to do that with the new upgrades, didn't they? That you can introduce different system-wide effects, but
yeah,
I haven't really seen anyone use. We plugged a few in just to see what they did, but I haven't seen anyone kind of use that. I haven't paid much attention though recently.
Not in a major way.
I don't
the
think
storm
they're
thing
strong
is
enough.
Well, I don't know. But
I do wonder.
I don't like the concept of them entirely, but I don't think they're strong enough when you have to run them instead of, say, the exploration upgrade or the mining upgrade or something. The trade-off is you lose too much resource, I think. But yeah.
But the storms are kind of like just a unfinished gimmick that I think they frankly forgot about. We had one kind of interesting but awful fight under a storm way back, I think it was early 2023. It was the red one in Venal, which we were shooting some Fortizar with Fraternity, and it was, I think it was dreadful but good at the same time. It's we did loads of damage in Paladins, but at the same time it was like nothing worked properly. I think they're a bit of a gimmick, honestly, and the way that they move around is infuriating.
I mean, of all the groups in the game, Pandemic Legion has one of the sort of biggest histories of having expert theory crafters coming up with fresh things that would later be adopted by the rest of the game. Obviously, PL's not alone in, but PL is pretty notable in the thinking and designing space through the history of the game. I do wonder if we've talked about things homogenizing between blocks, solved problems remaining. That's the solution for everybody to use, so it just turns into a straight numbers game. I do wonder if having stronger, more frequent storms, revisited, redesigned storms, effects traveling through systems, more notably, more often, could really play very well for people who have the best theory craft, a way for people to get their groups ahead through their thinking and their design, rather than just through their numbers, And I think that kind of is this, in a way, is very highly related to you, Pius, talking about yearning for more frequent balance updates. More frequent balance updates plays into the hands of the people who theory craft the best. Changing conditions in the game, possibly through storms, plays into the hands of people who plan and think the best.
So I don't think the storms does that consistently and long term. If you introduce wider, more frequent metaliminal storms, you then just solve the storm, right? And then you have a doctrine that you take out in a plasma, whatever. Frequent balance changes and giving ships niches where they can excel, and not just having one ship is the best keeps that variety changing, and thing that you have to do. This patch they've buffed, I don't know, Hyperions or something. How do we use that to beat the rock meta, etc.? If you just put an environmental effect in but don't change the actual things that the players are using, which is the ships, it's just something that you solve. It's just another thing that you have to overcome once. EVE is such an old game that most of the meta is already solved, and because they don't change the most base thing, which is the ship stat, the most direct access thing by the player, which is the ship stats, the meta just doesn't shift. Like, they can add new things in, but then the meta just doesn't shift really.
We got McLeod anyway. We got McLeod in chat talking about, maybe structures that create various effects, storms or some kind of AoE effect. When we saw a couple of years ago the introduction of the Tech 2 Dreads, which essentially fire an AoE beam of effects, offensive effects, obviously, it did make me kind of, think about carriers. Namely, sort of, what could the potential next Tech 2 capital look like? And, at the moment we have Tech 1 carriers with borderline, in a lot of cases, borderline useless balance on them. And given that carriers have historically and lore-wise always been a support craft, I do wonder if, we could see carriers and potentially a Tech 2 carrier doing a modification as some kind of localized effect. Some kind of we've reverse engineered the storms and turned it into a weapon of some kind. Essentially the opposite of fleet links. A debuff, an AoE debuff, firing a cloud over there.
Yeah. I really like what they did to carriers and adding like the conduit and the MJD field generator. I thought those were really good changes. So to see them iterate on that a little bit more would be cool. Whether it's in some kind of phenomena or, an additional ability, which
a support ability.
Yeah. But I mean, I think as a base though, like with conduiting and having the different micro jump modules, I thought those are really good changes, and I think it gives them it turned a ship that was kind of useless in lots of respects, into quite a neat utility tool. So maybe an enhancement, a further enhancement on that, maybe in a Tech 2 form would be cool.
I mean, one of the things Fat and I often talk about is allowing carriers to carry. So you probably have experience from your recent move, Hedliner. If the SMA was bigger, I think that would be absolutely amazing, because you can move more easily with a carrier, and then a carrier has a carrier. Carry multiple battleships. You don't have to, use a super or use many carriers. I mean, a Dread has the same SMA as a carrier at the moment. I think that's a bit silly.
Aren't they cheaper as well, Dreads?
Yes.
They're a lot cheaper than carriers, but they do the carrying just as well. I really hate when people try and justify something just merely because of what the name sounds like in their head. But I think that support roles is an absolutely ideal place for the carrier to go. Hedliner, maybe you know this off the top of your head, because I can't remember what it is. I know that links from a carrier are weaker than obviously from a command ship. Are they bonused at all on a carrier?
I think so.
I was right in front of an EVE Online client.
They must be, right?
I'm pretty sure they are. I'd have to bring it up though.
I'm just bringing it up now. Let's have a look.
Yeah, they are. No, they are.
It's got a 1% bonus per level of carrier to the strength.
And maybe they should be stronger. I don't know. Like it's
It does have
Maybe
a
that's
200%
the next
to
thing, right?
range. It does have a
Maybe that's the
200%
next
to
thing, right?
range. It does have a 200% to range. But it's probably not really going to tempt you away from a damnation, or in some cases, absolutely. Let's have a look. The damnation has 3%, so it's notably better than on a carrier. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't want a carrier to have equal, obviously, or even worse, better strength on its links than an actual command ship, because it would just be.
Maybe they should be better, significantly better, and then people will use them, and they'll sit there with people will ride them into battle, and then someone will want to drop a dread or 5 on them to kill them, and then you'll get your micro escalations that everyone's so desperate for. Maybe that's the answer.
I mean, if it was stronger, though, I mean, the carriers aren't very mobile, obviously, so they got that going for them. But carrier as a link ship, what it has going for it is a unfathomably larger hit point pool than a command ship. So it's a lot more survivable in asterisk than a damnation is, but maybe it should have keep its drawback of not having as strong a links, but 1% seems a bit pathetic. Can super carriers still fit links? Or am I thinking, okay, they still can. Right. That's not just something from about 15 years ago. Okay, good.
They get a 2% bonus, so they're right in the sweet spot.
Oh, hell yeah.
Big boys. Can super carriers conduit?
No, but they should be able to, in my opinion.
I mean, if you're willing to put a super carrier on the field.
They should be able to do double what a carrier does or something.
Oh, in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
I see. Because, of course, the conduit's interesting over a Titan bridge because it asks you to just put the carrier directly at a predictable spot.
Yeah, you also get more range, though. You get a little bit more range than you get the capital, the carrier range rather than the Titan jump range, which is really cool as well.
Yeah. This is one thing where I think that the limit of how many people it can suck along with it is, really sort of puts it in a particularly good pigeonhole for what size of fleet this is for. And then obviously you could just take multiple carriers to do it. But, that's asking for some organization from you. It's asking for some planning of, getting these guys on this one. And it's asking you to put the asset on the field. It gives everybody fatigue when you do it, rather than just using an Ansiblex to get there or something and then not having that. I think it's a good set of trade-offs, an interesting set of trade-offs. I don't want to talk about carriers for too long, but something I would like to touch upon is a lot of people almost entirely from large and very large groups post regularly wanting carriers to get their large damage and easy application back, but I think that era, it just turned carriers into the new a bit of a rubbish meta.
Yeah, I mean they're one of those things that they've sort of seesawed between being very powerful and being not very powerful at all, right? So that's probably why they've landed with the utility role. But I think that's perfect for them, to be honest. I think there's lots of other offensive ships, but there's
It can still be a bit cheaper as well, though. Maybe that's something that should get changed a bit with carriers. When they made Dreads cheaper, they also didn't make Fax much cheaper as well, did they? That's still sky high in price.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's realistically your only option for super heavy logistics for larger fleets as well. Have you seen any of the sort of talk? You already touched upon ships that you just see all over the place. A lot of people using the Rock in very large fleets. Do you feel, or for example, do you hear your guys expressing that they feel like battleships are too tanky right now?
Well, I
It
guess
is
they
something that
are
I know has been brought up a lot, but
since they changed the resist thing. Like, I guess so. I thought it was good when they added the plate and shield extender bonus to them, though. I do think that was good.
so you kind of maybe consider that, you know, now that they've got higher resist, maybe the plate and extender bonus could do with being shaved off a little.
I just roll the resist changes back personally.
How do you mean?
Well, I would just make the resists back before they changed them recently.
Oh, undo the undo.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the term for that is.
It'd be flip flopping, I suppose, is the term for that, isn't it?
U-turning.
What, is it a U-turn or is it a circle? I don't know. Whatever.
Well, it's a circle already. It's a circle already because they changed it and changed it back a few years later. So it's what's 300?
It's like a 6 shape.
What's 360 plus 180?
I don't know. I'm not here to do maths.
No. Okay. All right. Hey, listen. Something that we love people to be here for is to hear their unrestrained opinion of groups that they are not a part of. Obviously, we already know that you're very happy and have had a very amicable and friendly departure from Pandemic Horde. But which other groups in this game are a bunch of twats? Don't worry, I'm not actually asking you that.
Is that like a question you ask everyone? It seems like entrapment.
It's definitely not a question he asks anybody else, so it does kind of feel like entrapment.
I think all the different groups have their pros and cons, and they're all unique in their own way. And that's what makes it hard to sort of single one out as being better or worse than the others.
Will we see Pandemic Legion in Fraternity's war against Absolute Order down in Providence?
If someone tells me what there is to Luke, maybe you should brief me on this. You should read me in on what's going on in this coalition that I've just joined.
Luke, yeah.
I know you're a fan of Providence historically. I'll fill you in on it.
I am a sucker. Yeah, I'm a sucker for Providence. So maybe we'll have to wet our beaks on that. I haven't been in a while. Maybe it's time.
Luke, have you been down there?
I have not. But every time I think about it, I'm like, there's nothing going on, and then I don't, and then there's a massive BR, and I'm like, fuck. But no, I should actually go down there and go shoot some individuals that share ideology with 1940s Germany.
I don't know anything about that either.
No, you might be happy or not. Actually, you know, we've all had a good laugh at the behaviour of a vocal minority down in that area of space, but perhaps it's happiest. Hey, listen, I know that you know you don't bother with Reddit, you don't bother with big public Eve discords. Would I be right in saying that that's as a method of making sure you can actually enjoy playing the game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you've noticed that. Yeah, I live under a bit of a rock in terms of, like, you know, the popular culture that has sprung up around Eve in the last half decade or whatever, because it just doesn't interest me, to be honest. It's, you know, people are entitled to their opinions. They've got a lot of them, I gather. It's not what I play for. I'm more interested in running fleets, getting fights, collecting some kill mails, and that'll be that. You know, half the time we'll, as PL might not, we might just do something else after, you know, like play other games or whatever. It doesn't interest me. I know it's a huge component of the game for some people, and there are probably some people who relish that aspect of it more than the actual gameplay. For me, I'm sort of squarely in the in-game realm. yeah, I don't track it very closely. I don't frequent the Twitch streams or anything like that either. I'm a bit sort of like a fish out of water here, but
No,
you have
I mean, listen,
observed.
if it works for you, listen, if it works for you, then it's a good choice, right? I mean, how long have you been playing Eve for at this stage?
Since the end of 2006.
Okay, so a little bit longer than me. Well, let's hold on. Let's go around the room. Puce, when did you start?
2006, my original character.
Okay, yeah, so very similar. I'm a little bit younger than both of you guys in this game. Luke?
So the Luke character was 2017, and then but before that, I flip-flopped trying to play the game, didn't get on with the game, just never gelled. So properly 2017.
Okay. Redline? Are you, if I'm 2016? 2018? Wow, okay, not bad. It's interesting what you say, Luke, about sort of trying to enjoy the game repeatedly. I mean, there's not a lot of sort of entertainment hobbies where out there where you kind of repeatedly bang your head against something that you can't get any fun out of to try and get some fun out of it.
Everybody kind of like professes like it was this really great game and all the rest of it, and I think the social thing was the bit that hit it on the head for me. So when I got into Eve proper, it was because a friend had been playing it since about 2006 and kind of dragged me in and played and come and played the game and took me through and into nullsec and all the rest of it. So I think it kind of just reinforces some of that social element of the game, because before, like, the new player experience and all the rest of it was like you're in space in an ibis, and I'm like, well, this is what am I doing now? Obviously, people clearly managed to get beyond that, and I just got myself wound up about it, and then would go play a different MMO and go, oh, I'm going to try Eve again, and kind of rinse and repeat the same problem until it eventually stuck.
And Hedliner, so if as we sort of start to sort of wind down, and aside from anything else that you wanted to bring up today, what do you think it is about Eve Online that works so well for you?
I've always enjoyed. Well, when I started, I started playing with a guy that I was at school with, and he started a little bit before me. He spent 6 months trying to convince me to give it a go, and eventually, like, we had a snow day or something. I was like, "Fuck it, all right, fine. I'll download it. I'll do that." It used to be like the 7-day, was it 7 or 14-day free trial back then? And I was like, but after the 7 days, I'm going back to playing Battlefield 2, so leave me alone. And we started, and he gave me some money, and we took like Caracels down to KBP or something. And his group was gate camping there at the time and fighting CVA or whoever lived there. And I just found it, like, we had like a couple of small skirmishes, and I was like, this is actually quite interesting. There's like a lot of yelling on the Ventrilo and, like, people getting excited. And I was like, this is actually quite good fun. And then I learned that there was a lot more sort of like to do and to build up around, that single instance of PvP. And then, we made some more friends along the way. We found a decent group to join. I used to be in the very first triumvirate, which was great. Then that imploded on itself and got rebooted. And then after that, I joined Cry Havoc, and we had a good group of people there. And then we all sort of like folded into PL as well. And some of those people I still play with today. They're still in PL now. They're still around. Some of them aren't particularly active in game. Others are. And we've got a good core group of people who have stuck together for a very long time, and that's kept me around without any real breaks. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy doing that. Like the PvP aspect in lots of respects, like the small, medium scale stuff, that's really good fun when you can string it all together. But mainly for me, like, what kept me around is and what I enjoy the most is the fact that, I'm been playing for a long time with a group of people that I get on with, and I really enjoy the company. And I don't see that changing really.
Perhaps it seems quite something that's quite rare. There is that you have managed to keep a large number of the same people around pretty much consistently. A friend group that has lasted a large number of years for any video game at this stage. I mean, a lot of people end up not coming back to this game because their critical mass of friends have moved on. So to be able to keep that going shows a lot of dedication.
Lots of people have come and gone in PL, right? There've been so many different phases to the alliance, and it's the way I characterize it is like it's taken lots of different shapes over the years, but it's remained the same size. Some people have come and gone. Some people have left because the game's materially changed and the gameplay they don't enjoy it anymore. Others have left because they started when they were much younger and then they got older and had to go away and do things. And now now some of those people who have been gone for a long time are actually coming back again because they've got the time to dedicate to playing and stuff. So there's a bit of a kind of revolving door of people in that respect as well, which is good. I mean, we've lost a lot of good people along the way as well for various reasons, but we've retained a core of decent people who get on very well, and that's good. And I think if our move goes the way that we want it to, and we get some good momentum out of that as well, there's a decent foundation to build that member base out a little bit more as well, should we want to do that. So I'm excited about that, and just there's some excitement within PL as well. The members are like, we're not doing anything groundbreaking right now, but we're doing something and we're doing it together, and that motivates people.
Excellent. Well, I hope that we all get to see some results of the move. People coming back and being interested isn't just content for you guys, it's content around as well. It's content for your enemies, it's content for your new friends. We'll see. I mean, something I know has always happened whenever any group has reinvigorated. It's the initial rush, and sometimes it works. Sometimes 2 weeks later, the people who all just paid a sub and excitedly resubbed, half of them are gone again. But if you can keep that critical mass going, you said the word momentum there perfectly. I hope that really works out for you.
People are fickle like that, aren't they? You gotta keep doing stuff to keep them engaged. So we'll do that. I mean,
they're looking back through rose-tinted glasses.
There's always an element of that, right? I mean, you trapped me into doing that myself. Baited me into doing that myself earlier. But it's easy to do, right? But that's part of the fun. Everyone's got a story to tell, right?
Well, certainly look forward to seeing the next chapter in what is still an ongoing long book from you guys. Hope it all works out. I think it's time for us to go around the room and have some final thoughts. Luke, you have some new friends now.
I mean, they're old friends. They're just in a different place, right?
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to...
Not allowed to shoot them now.
That is true. That is true. No, I think it'd be really interesting to see what moving does for PL, right? I think it's very different to drones, right? You're a lot closer to low sec. You can go do faction warfare. You can go and play with some of the other things in the game that you might not as easily be able to do from somewhere like drone regions. I think that'd be really interesting to see.
Peace.
In 2017, I won a Thanatos in the Pandemic Legion Christmas trivia, and it was never delivered. So contract to the Puce Moose in game, please. No, it's good to see people at least doing something in nullsec. I hope it works out. I hope you get some more activity, and I hope that we see you in Black Rise and Placid nearby so we can shoot at each other.
When I find out where those regions are, I will look at coming over. As for your Thanatos, I'm sorry, I have no recollection of that. I don't run raffles or anything. I'm under a lot of. There's a lot of people pissed off that I didn't give prizes out for the Christmas tree competition in 2024. So you'll have to get in line behind them before we remediate your Thanatos.
Yeah, I mean, if while we're getting in line, then I definitely won any Alliance tournament ship, any from one of these as well. So we'll put that in the queue.
Okay.
We'll get to it. Yeah. You'll get through the queue, won't you? You're a responsible Alliance leader, aren't you? You wouldn't.
I would never
you wouldn't
shirk
lie.
my administrative responsibilities.
No. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to it. I'll take any at this stage, preferably a Python. Redline. Thank you as ever, for running it for us. Do you have any final thoughts yourself? No thoughts. No thoughts from Redline. Well, thank you very much, Hedliner, for joining us and going through some of the whys and what you look forward to. It's been good. Thank you very much. I'll hand it to you, Redline. Yes, please. Thank you very much. They love it. It's a good kickstart for them.
I was promised there would be no audio issues this stream.
No, okay. So here's the deal, gang. I said that I was just going to mute myself the whole time, and then these guys kept on asking me questions. All right. So, anyways, we are going
baited into having a technical issue.
It's not a technical issue. It was intentional. You just didn't remind me that I did that. Like I told you from the jump, the audio is muted in OBS. Anyways, no final thoughts for me as usual, but we are rating a new player with 85 of us. So I think that's enough people to spam hearts in the chat. Like that's the less than 3 sign if you don't know how to do it. His name's Jamal. It seems like a pretty cool dude. And this is the part where everybody waves to the camera. Did we do Luke, by the way? We got Luke's final thought?
Yeah, we did.
All right, great. We'll wave to the camera. We're going to head off now. See you next week, gamers.
Bye, everybody.